Hey everyone! So one thing about me is I seem to love to have my deep conversations at night. So I think that's going to be kind of a segment on this channel, is just getting comfy, getting cozy, getting your nice jammies, and we will have a chat, like as if we're on a sleepover. Because that's when some of the best conversations happen. So based on this title, you should know what we were talking about today. And so if you know me or are coming from any other platforms, then you know the story of my sweet Harlow. And I just feel like it's important to share her story, honor her, and just bring awareness to what happened, because I do believe that it can help save other pregnancies and other babies and the hearts of many moms. So my dogs might bark here and there, so we might have to take some breaks, but that's what we're going to talk about today. I also do just want to say that this happened, it will be 3 years ago, March 5th. So we're almost at her third birthday. I have talked about it a lot. I have been able to talk with a lot of other people who've gone through this. I feel like I am just really comfortable talking about it. And so I know that I won't get emotional through it. And I know that can be hard for people to see me not getting emotional through it. But I talk about her all the time. I talk about my story all the time. So back to what I was saying. So I talk about her in my daily life, just like, and my birth story, all of that, just like any other mom talks about their child. And I think that that's something that's really important to me. Everyone grieves differently. Everyone goes through pregnancy loss and child loss differently. But I think that it's been a big way of healing for me. So just know I love talking about her, even though my pregnancy didn't end how I had hoped. After infertility and all of that, of course, all I wanted was to bring home my baby. I'm still so happy to be her mom, even though she is my little angel. And I will forever share her story and be proud to be her mom, even though she's not here with us today in physical form. So for those of you who don't know, I was married before, and during that time we struggled with fertility for almost 2 years. I have PCOS, which I knew that I would have at a very young age, even before the doctors properly diagnosed me. I always believed that I would struggle to conceive, and I hated saying that, but I knew that I wasn't ovulating literally from the age of 16, and so it was a fear of mine literally since then that I would struggle to get pregnant. And so we tried for almost 2 years, like I said. We did multiple rounds of letrozole. We were on our way to IVF. The dogs keep interrupting me, so I have to keep rethinking my train of thought. So we had struggled for almost 2 years, and then we did, I want to say it was 8 rounds of letrozole, got pregnant after like 5 rounds, had a chemical pregnancy, and then got pregnant on, it was either the 8th or 10th round, I don't know. It was October of 2021 that I got pregnant. And it was such an exciting time. I had such an incredible pregnancy up until everything went the wrong way. Like I loved it. I loved being pregnant. I loved prepping for her to come, everything. And for some reason, so I was living in Canada, and for some reason, I couldn't get an OB appointment until I was 17 weeks, which 17 weeks is really late for your first OB appointment. I'm like almost halfway through my pregnancy at that point. So had doctor's confirmation at the beginning, but then waited until then. And then I had my anatomy scan at 19 weeks. And when I went in, the ultrasound tech was like really just off. Like she was like, everything looks good, but like I could tell that there was an issue, but she wasn't like saying it because they can't. And so she ended up going and getting the doctor, and they were like, you need to go to labor and delivery right now. But they still like didn't tell me like anything. They said that they thought that I had, or they could tell that I had a short cervix, but like they didn't know what that meant. And so or what that would lead to necessarily. It's kind of one of those like you have to wait and see, but they told me I had to get to labor and delivery. So of course I'm freaking out, and we go to labor and delivery, and like I said, baby girl was good. She was in a great place. She was growing strong, all of the above. And the only reason that they found out that I had a short cervix, which this is one of the key things that doesn't happen, and lots of people end up losing, or not lots, but the people who have this problem is because it goes undiagnosed. So you have to get a ultrasound that goes, you know, you gotta have some fun with Wanda, because it can tell your cervix length better than the abdominal ultrasound. At least that's what I was told. I'm not a doctor, I'm not an ultrasound tech, but from what I was told, that was the experience, or that was what was it? So went to labor and delivery, and they ended up putting me on bed rest because I had a short cervix. I think that it was like I think it's supposed to be like 3 millimeters or centimeters, and mine was 1. So a substantial amount down. So I got put on like bed rest, but I was still supposed to move around and stuff. A few days later, I went to the bathroom and there was a gush of water, which was my waters breaking. And I want to say it was like the next day, or like it was really fast after. I don't remember the exact day. And so of course I'm freaking out. We go back to labor and delivery. They tell me that my waters broke and told me that I should terminate the pregnancy. Now, I had done lots of research, I think just with going through infertility and such. Hello, little miss. I think with going through infertility and such, you just know too much. And because I had shared my journey on other platforms, I knew too much, but that's also a good thing because I was able to advocate for myself. And so when that happened, I was like, why do I have to terminate the pregnancy? Like, she's still good. Can waters regrow? Can I get a stitch? Like, there needs to be another way than just terminating this pregnancy that I've worked so hard for, and the baby is still okay. Like, I could feel her moving and stuff. And so because of where my placenta was, I couldn't get the stitch. And then your waters can replenish themselves, I guess, but it doesn't always happen that way. But babies can live inside of you without the waters. Sometimes it can cause them to have like growth defects, in the sense of like, because the waters help babies grow and stretch, sometimes it can make their arms restricted and stuff like that. But some people also go through this and their babies come out perfect in every way, in the sense of growth and all of that. So it's one of those situations where you don't know until you know. You don't know until baby is here how they're gonna respond to not being in the waters. And like I said, I'm not a doctor. This is just the stuff that I was told to me through talking with different people, through doctors, through everything in between. So they were like, okay, you're on more bed rest, obviously. And we'll just watch your waters, watch what happens. I was doing ultrasounds now weekly. I was now considered high risk, of course. And there was just all these different levels to it. And then everything was still going like pretty good. Like they were like, we're just taking it week by week. At 22 weeks, they wanted me to start steroid injections and stuff like that. But at 21 weeks and 3 days, March 5th, 2022, I woke up with like, just that TMI, but that like constipated feeling. Okay, sorry, my camera died. So yeah, I woke up with just like, I was just sore, like uncomfortable in my belly and didn't really know what was going on. And so I was like, just with everything that's happened, let's just go to labor and delivery and we'll just like see. It's better to be safe than sorry. And then if anything's wrong, at least I'm there and they can like fix it. So get in the car, drive like the 30 minutes to the hospital. And as we're in the car, it was getting a little bit more intense, but like it still just felt like cramping, like So we get to labor and delivery, and I sat in triage for 3 hours before someone came to see me. And so then they came in and they were just like, okay, yeah, like everything looks pretty good. She's still moving, yada, yada, yada. But like they weren't telling me something, like, you know, when you're at the doctor and they're just not telling you something. And so I went to the bathroom, and okay, this can be, I'm giving like a trigger warning right now because I'm about to get quite graphic with the next part of this. And I just want you to be prepared because it is just crazy. This next chunk of the story is like so crazy. So if you are sensitive to anything dealing with this topic, I would click out now. And if you're like TMI is TMI, then also click out now. But if you want to keep hearing the story, then stay in. So at this point, like I said, I had been sitting in triage for like 3 hours, still having these cramps, and they were kind of getting more intense, which ended up being contractions. And I ended up going to the bathroom, and I could feel her when I waked. And so then of course I'm freaking out. So I go up to the ladies who were working triage. Also, I'm sorry that I'm looking over here. I'm trying to get used to this camera, but the screen is over here, the lens is here. So I apologize if it looks like I'm looking off into the distance. So yeah, so I come back and I'm like, okay, like I need a nurse now. Like I can feel her, like someone push her back in, like stitch her in, like, I don't know. Cause I could still feel her moving. Like she was just falling out simply. And they were like, you have to deliver this baby right now. And I was like, no. And I had read all these stories about women who had had babies around 21, 22 weeks that had survived. They fought in the NICU for months, obviously, but they survived. And so I was like, and I was at I think it's a level 4, which is like the highest level. Like it was whatever the highest level NICU is, that's the kind of hospital that I was at. And so I was like, I need to talk to the NICU nurse now. Like before anything happens, I want her prep to go in the NICU. Like I've done my research on this worst case scenario. I want to fight for her because she's alive and you've told me that she's good. So let's do the thing. So they wheel me into a delivery room and they're like trying to get an IV in me. Like they hadn't set me up with anything. Like I had been there for 3 hours. They hadn't done any blood work. They hadn't done any ultrasound, nothing. And a NICU nurse comes in as I'm being poked. And she told me that they couldn't fight for Harlow, that she was too young. And so I was like, well, you guys haven't even like done an ultrasound in the past week. Like you don't know what her growth is. You guys don't even have my charts. They couldn't find my charts or anything. So I'm like, so you're just saying based off of, because of the general gestation that she's not going to survive. Like, and you know what? She might have not survived that, but it was still just like, they wouldn't even try. And I have a friend who's literally been in like a similar area as me, and her baby, they fought for and the baby survived. So clearly I just didn't have a good team. And so the lady was like, no, we're not gonna fight for her. And I was like, I can literally bring you up multiple scenarios on Facebook where the baby has survived, and like just try. And so the NICU nurse, I will like never forget this, but she goes, those moms obviously didn't know the gestation of their baby and they're all lying. And I was like, excuse me? And the group I'm talking about right now is called 22 Matters, I think. And it's all like success stories of babies who were born at 21 and 22 weeks. And anyways, so she said no. And so I'm like, I could literally feel her moving, but I'm being told that I have to push. So I start pushing her out, but she's breech. And she was still obviously really small. And so I pushed her out, but I had no pain meds, no IV, no nothing. And they were still trying to poke me The lady poked me like 7 times. I had the biggest bruise because she couldn't find how to do it. And then this is like the worst part of it to me. So I get her body out and they're like, oh, because they were like forcing me to push her. And they're like, oh, you're not dilated enough to get the rest of her out. And so I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, we just need to let her lay there. So like I could feel her half out and wait until your body naturally dilates so that you can push her head out. So I sat there, and that's obviously when she passed away. And it's just, sorry, I'm laughing. It's not a funny thing. It's just when you've gone through an experience like this and you're resharing the stories, it's so mind-boggling just thinking of some of the scenarios of what happened and why it happened like that. Like, it's so insane. So insane. So end up waiting. Finally, my body dilates another like centimeter or 2. I get her out the rest of the way, put her on my chest, and now it's time to deliver the placenta. Well, because my body wasn't ready to go into labor, the placenta wouldn't come off. The doctor says she's going to try and physically remove the placenta from my uterine wall. And so she literally grabs it with her hand and tries to get it off, but I was in so much pain as she's trying to do that. And so she's like, okay, I'm just gonna sit, hopefully it will like pass. Then, so I'm spending time with Harlow on my chest. She's literally the sweetest little, perfect little tiny thing. I start to hemorrhage. So they're like, okay, we need to take you into the operating room and vacuum, that was the word they used, vacuum out your placenta and everything inside. So I got taken away, and then finally they gave me like a soft epidural, and they did that procedure, and then I came back in and we spent the day with Harlow and just laid in the hospital room. This all happened early in the morning, and so I was like, I'm going home tonight. Like, of course they want you to stay for like the next day, and I'm like, I'm not gonna sit in the labor and delivery room for another day. And so ended up going home that night after however long. And I did have the sweetest OB, and I did have the sweetest nurse with us for the day, who, like, the nurse actually cried when it was all happening, and she was so, so sweet. I'll never forget her. But yeah, the whole system, me not being seen before 17 weeks, them wanting me to terminate the pregnancy when the baby was still viable at 19 weeks, I just felt like I got put under the radar. Like, I was not a priority, and I understand that they have lots of patients, but I truly believe that that's part of the reason that this happened. And so, yeah, anyways, so that happened. She gained her wings on March 5th, 2022. And after that, I have done everything I can to honor her, tell her story, tell our story. The one thing I craved when I was pregnant was strawberries. So I have strawberries in every aspect of my life. She's on my tattoo here. I have these strawberries and her name. So I just have all these little things that I do to honor her. Like I said, it is her birthday coming up, so every year I have had a strawberry cake on her birthday and celebrated with a different theme. This year is rainbows and butterflies. And yeah, I think it's really important for those people who do feel comfortable talking about things like this, sharing their story, because I do feel like this could have been prevented in some manner, or at least her be able to have stayed in a little bit longer or even the medical team to have like just tried to fight for her instead of just saying no, like saying no without even doing an ultrasound to see if she was developed enough or whatever. They were just going off of like past exams. So, you know, there's so many ways that this could have been a different scenario. And so that is why I share my story. And I have been told by people that they have gone in and they've gotten the ultrasound done with Wanda and at their anatomy scan and found out that they had a short cervix and then been able to save the pregnancy. So I think that's a really special thing that although I didn't get to take home my living baby, I've been able to help save other babies, and I think that's really special. And I think that's a really special thing to come out of this really crappy situation. And so yeah, I just do everything I can to honor her in all walks of life. And I just wanted to talk to her, or I just wanted to talk to you guys about this story because she is such a big part of me. And I don't know if you guys believe in like spiritual readers and stuff like that, but I watched this video of me explaining a reading I had when I was pregnant, and the biggest thing that she had said was that I was going to be so unbelievably connected to Harlow, and I am. Like, even though I only had one day of her actually in my arms, I am so connected with her. She gives me signs all the time, and the impact that she's had on me, that she's had on other people is just so incredible. And so, yeah, I'm so grateful to be her mom, even though she's not here physically. So yeah, that is the story of my little Harlow Grace. And I just wanted to share it also so that when I talk about Harlow, because I do talk about Harlow a lot, that you guys would know who I'm talking about, because she's my little angel and I love her. And she's a big part of who I am and what led me to where I am today. So you have struggled to conceive, if you have lost a child, lost a pregnancy, anything like that, please know that my heart is with you. I'm sending you so much love and strength. It is not an easy journey, and it's something that should be talked about more because you are not alone. This happens to so many people, so many couples, and talking about it needs to be normalized, in my opinion. So just know that I'm thinking about you. I'm sending you love. If you did lose a baby, comment below what their names are, what their birthday was, and let's honor them all together. So that is the story of my Harlow Grace.